Good morning, this is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated, Journato, morning headlines on May 19, 2023. Girl, 8, dies in U.S. Border Patrol custody, officials say. Sutton's Premier League predictions v stars of Wolf women. Jim Jordan blocks Democrats from seeing evidence in chaotic hearing. The Independent, watch Representative Jordan clash with Representative Plaskett on the credibility of FBI whistleblowers. CNN, Jim Jordan on GOP, whistleblowers, getting paid by ex-Trump advisor, Sue, Rolling Stone. Jim Jordan hearing descends into chaos after GOP withholds whistleblower testimony, USA News Live. US risks rift with European allies over hesitancy to supply F-16s to Ukraine. The Guardian, Ukraine war, Germany says no to jets, Ukraine bombed, Baltics belong to Russia claim. Euronews, US at odds with Europe over sending Ukraine F-16 fighter jets. The Telegraph, Scholz, fighter jets for Ukraine not German responsibility. EURACTIV, the debate, why fighter jets? Ukraine lobbies for air power ahead of counter-offensive. Jamal Bowman, Marjorie Taylor Greene used racial bullhorn after Capitol exchange. The Independent, Bowman calls out MTG for racist tropes after she says she feels threatened by him. MSNBC, Marjorie Taylor Greene falsely claims Georgia activist killed police officer. The Independent, Jamal Bowman, Marjorie Taylor Greene's rhetoric puts black men in danger. Colombian president retracts claim that 4 children in plane crash were rescued. The Independent, Colombia plane crash, children reportedly survived 16 days in jungle. BBC, confusion over fate of 4 children missing in Colombian plane crash. Evening Standard, officials said 4 kids survived an Amazon plane crash. Then they vanished. The Independent, Colombia plane crash, report took how children survive 16 days for jungle after plane crash. Israeli nationalists chant racist slogans on march through Jerusalem. The Guardian, Israeli nationalists march for Jerusalem Day, BBC News. BBC News, Israeli Jews, Palestinians clash at flag march in Jerusalem. Al Monitor, at Jerusalem flag march, chants of death to Arabs and assaults on Palestinians. The Times of Israel, Israeli ultra-nationalists attack journalists during Jerusalem Day flag march. People were kissing 4,500 years ago, 1,000 years earlier than scientists thought. Sky News, the earliest recorded kiss goes back at least 4,500 years to Mesopotamia. The Washington Post, when did we start kissing? The act isn't universal, but it's older than we thought. Ukraine war, PTSD a growing problem for health ministry. BBC, no armor, no shoes, no hope, the daily life of a Russian soldier. The Telegraph, medics brave rockets near Ukraine frontline. Reuters, brain surgery in a war zone. The New Statesman, Russia-Ukraine medical crisis, European medical staff hopes to end crisis in Russia and Ukraine. Developing country voices will be excluded at UnPlastic talks, say NGOs. The Guardian, plastic pollution, UN says plastic waste could be cut by 80% by 2040. BBC, refill stores and bottle deposit schemes, inside the UN goal to cut plastic pollution by 80% by 2040. Euronews, UN lays out blueprint to reduce plastic waste 80% by 2040. EURACTIV, how the United Nations intends to deal with single-use plastic. Samuel Little, remains of woman murdered nearly 50 years ago belong to victim of America's most prolific serial killer. Sky News, Georgia, remains in cold case identified as victim of most prolific serial killer in US. Metro.co.uk, remains of Georgia woman killed 46 years ago identified, confirmed serial killer victim. The Independent, after 46 years, Macon County Jane Doe is identified. We're starting a new era, Thailand's giant killing MP ICE on her election upset. The Guardian, Thailand election, reformists confident they will form government. BBC, Thailand, Pitta says coalition taking shape after talks. DW, English, Thai reformists confident they can form government as coalition takes shape. The Telegraph, how Thailand election victor move forward used TikTok for rare progressive win. Russia-Ukraine war live. Zelensky to attend G7 in person, reports say, as leaders prepare new sanctions. The Guardian, G7 leaders to discuss proposal for Ukraine peace summit. Financial Times, Indian Ambassador Sibi George speaks to WION ahead of PM's Japan visit. World News, WION. WION, commentary, in pursuing peace, Japan's leader must also prepare for war. CNA, opinion, it's no accident world leaders are revisiting this site of nuclear devastation. Bruce Springsteen criticized for not cancelling Italy gig after deadly floods. The Guardian, Italy floods, Bruce Springsteen gig condemned as insult to the dead. The Times, Bruce Springsteen accused of insulting the dead with Italian concert after floods. The Telegraph, Emilia-Romagna flooding, Bruce Springsteen condemned over scandalous decision to play Ferrara. The Independent, breaking news live updates. G7 summit, why there are 8 more seats at the table this year. DeSantis to launch 2024 bid as Trump claims governor's magic is gone. The Independent, Ron DeSantis to launch presidential bid next week. DeSantis vs Trump news, DeSantis 2024 news live. CNN News 18, Ron DeSantis set to announce candidacy for 2024 U.S. presidential election. The Times, is this Ron DeSantis' last chance for 2024? The Washington Post, don't look now, but Ron DeSantis just suffered some big losses. Disney scraps $867 million Florida plan amid Ron DeSantis feud. Grand diplomat or miserable failure? What Liz Truss has been up to since she quit as Prime Minister. Sky News, China is preparing for war, and the West is preparing to surrender. The Telegraph, ex-UK PM trains guns at China from Taiwan, Liz Truss big warning for the West, details. Hindustan Times, what is Liz Truss doing in Taiwan? The New Statesman, human hand grenade truss at loggerheads with Sunak on China as she warns of Beijing threat. Driver forces entry into Vatican palace grounds by ramming gate. Ukraine war, Kyiv says 29 of 30 Russian missiles shot down. The Independent, Putin launches fresh missile strikes on Ukraine's capital Kyiv, Russia vs Ukraine war update live. CNN News 18, Russia hits Ukraine's capital Kyiv with 9th wave of missile attacks this month, BBC News. BBC News, Russia-Ukraine war, list of key events, day 450. Al Jazeera English, never seen before, Ukraine shaken as Russia unleashes missiles cruise, hypersonic missiles. Italy floods leave 13 dead and force 13,000 from their homes. BBC, Italy floods, thousands flee after 6 months of apocalyptic rain in a day. Channel 4 News, death toll mounts in Italy's worst flooding for 100 years. The Guardian, weather emergencies declared across Europe as deadly torrential rain strikes. Euronews, Italy floods leave 9 dead and force 13,000 from their homes. 95-year-old woman using walking frame tasered by police at care home in Australia. Sky News, outcry as Australian police taser 95-year-old care home resident. BBC, 95-year-old woman tasered by police, ABC News. ABC News, Australia, Australian police taser 95-year-old dementia patient leaving her fighting for life. We're not going away, Rishi Sunak arrives for G7 as UK unveils new Russia sanctions. The Guardian, G7, new sanctions will make sure Russia pays a price, Sunak says. BBC, G7, US to unveil new sanctions against Russia. DW, English, Rishi Sunak announces ban at G7 on Russian diamonds, copper, aluminium and nickel. Sky News, US to unveil new Russia sanctions at G7 summit. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.